Greetings and salutations, everybody. Yesterday, as of the time that I made this video, it was the last day of summer. And now, as I record this audio, it is the first day of fall, when the leaves drift from the trees and everything starts to turn brown. Nature is a funny thing, and the way it reacts to the passing of time, even more so. A lot of people don't seem to like fall and winter. They bring grayness to the skies, and it's sort of a dead feeling to the earth. Everything brown, lifeless. But there's something special about fall, the way that just as things are starting to die down, to go dormant, to fall asleep for the winter, into a sleep that some things may never wake up from. It's at that moment that many, many plants just put forth beautiful colors, the reds and oranges of leaves, and the budding fruits, the apples most of all, and the pumpkins. People do love their pumpkins in the fall, even if they're artificial. But just like a cry from the depths of despair, everything in nature seems to say, I'm not dead yet. Look at me. I can still put on a show. It takes a tremendous amount of energy and a completely different chemical reaction for plants to make purple and bright red leaves in the fall. Sure, those chemicals ward against infections and some pests, but in the fall that might not be very much of a problem. So it really does seem like they're putting forth a defiant flag against the white surrender of the snow and the cold. For some strange reason, mankind has always gotten inspiration from nature. My inspiration today is especially the English-Welsh artist Andy Goldsworthy. You might not have heard of him. Many people haven't. But once you look at his work, you'll see absolute beauty, I find. He goes out into the countrysides and into little public parks, areas not unlike the courtyard in which I'm making my art. And he takes little things, twigs, chips of ice from frozen ponds, bark from dead trees, just the simple rocks and dust from the ground. And he makes beautiful things. He can pile up stones and patterns to match the setting of the sun. Make snowballs that can stand even if they are hollow and have a hole right through them. Or once he even put snowballs in the middle of cities and photographed them and the people around them. We have a bit of a desire, we people, for permanence, being remembered, something that can make us last even years and years after we ourselves are dead and turning to dust. And maybe art is one way of doing that. Yet it seems like we will always be forgotten. Only a few great famous people are remembered from many ages, and yet they too are slowly forgotten more and more. What is it about art that people will throw forth so much expression, so much beauty? Even if it doesn't seem that beautiful to many people, they'll just do it. Animals don't make art. They can make patterns if we give them pigments and a canvas, and that might be art. But I feel the same way that G.K. Chesterton did, that art is the signature of man. It is one of those things that sets him apart from everything else. It feels like that desire for permanence might never be satiated. And yet look at Andy Goldsworthy. He makes these things from ice, which he knows will melt soon, from leaves which will be blown away by the wind, from stones which can crack and tumble away from the patterns he set them in. A few of the things he's made have been walls, permanent things, it seems. Things that divide up, that coop up various things, that split up the land into tracts, that everybody can say, here, this is mine, and this is mine. But walls, too, as Robert Frost knows so well, can fall down as well. And it's not elves. It's just time. And yet, knowing that few things are permanent, we continue to make these things. These ephemeral things which are as movable as the grass of the field and the dust of the earth, as movable as ourselves. The word ephemera is often used in reference to cards, letters, notes, mementos of events and people and feelings. And maybe those things are just as ephemeral as their moniker assigns them to be. But maybe those ephemera are important. I feel that it's the ephemeral things that will define us. The things that express who we are may be blown away, but a fleeting memory is better than nothing ever having been said at all. People are strange, I find. And the more things are strange, the more common they can be. Strangers, named for being strange to us, not known, are the ones that we pass by. people make art to leave a fragment of themselves, shored against the ruins of passing time and everything that happens, the changing, flowing tides of human interest and history. And we think that if only we could make a name for ourselves or become one with something, that will be fulfilled. But we can't really become one with nature. We always are striving backwards towards Eden, but it is impossible by ourselves, like pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. But that glimpse of Eden, what we used to be, when we were happy, when we were perfect without needing to know what perfect was, when we didn't need to make a name for ourselves, when it was good enough to make a name for the one that made us. We still long for gardens and the source of the longest river. And I've found much beauty in nature, and yet I always feel a feeling of what the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows refers to as balagarad. From the Gaelic, it means walled garden. We love nature and the simple beauty of it, and yet we are separate from it. We've made a name for ourselves, but it might not be a name that we like. We're artificial now. We've domesticated ourselves into oblivion, it seems. And the walled garden is just an arrangement of our own. But that art, I feel, still calls to us, still allows us to be something beautiful. And the wall we built around ourselves can be pulled down. And our strongholds of modernity, of self-sufficiency, of pride can be pulled down. And humility, and caring, and art may only be shadows of greater things. But these are the shadows that we look at on our wall. And it's beautiful. So long, and thanks for all the fish.